The Atlanta Falcons did not just add a few pieces, they changed the whole pressure around the building. Kevin Stefanski walks in with an offense built on timing, rhythm, and clean answers. Ian Cunningham gives him a roster with more speed. Matt Ryan brings another trusted voice into the room. And now Tua Tagovailoa and Michael Penix Jr. are standing in the middle of the biggest question in Atlanta. Nobody should pretend this is a small camp battle. This is the decision that decides how fast the Falcons can attack the NFC South. But the quarterback story only works because the weapons suddenly look different. Drake London is still the big target outside. Jahan Dotson gives the room another route runner. Olamide Zaccheaus knows how to find space. Kyle Pitts Sr. can still bend a defense from the tight end spot. Bijan Robinson forces teams to respect the backfield before the ball even leaves the quarterback hand. Then Zachariah Branch walks in as the rookie who changes the speed of the whole thing. Not later, not someday, right now. The shocking part is that Atlanta did not build this only for highlights. They built it to make defenses choose wrong. If they sit back, Bijan Robinson can pull them down. If they crowd the box, Drake London and Kyle Pitts Sr. can punish space. If they play soft in the middle, Zachariah Branch becomes the problem nobody wants to chase. And that is where this story really starts, because the rookie receiver is not just fast. He might be the exact missing piece this offense has been waiting for. Zachariah Branch is not walking into Atlanta as a normal third-round name. That would miss the whole point. The Falcons did not draft him because the receiver room needed another body. They drafted him because this offense needed a different kind of problem for defenses. Drake London can win with size. Jahan Dotson can work routes outside. Olamide Zaccheaus can help move the chains, but Branch brings something this group did not have enough of. Quick feet in tight space, sudden cuts, and the kind of burst that turns a small throw into a stressful moment for the defense. That is why his fit feels bigger than his draft slot. Kevin Stefanski does not need Branch to be the #1 target right away. He needs him to make the middle of the field feel crowded for linebackers and unsafe for safeties. A quick screen, a shallow cross, a motion touch, a return chance. Those are not small plays when the player has speed that makes angles look wrong. That is where Branch can change the shape of the offense without needing 10 targets every week. Defenses already have to respect Bijan Robinson in the backfield, Kyle Pitts Sr. over the middle, and London outside. Add Branch underneath, and every easy answer starts to get harder. But here is the real test. Speed only matters if the ball arrives on time. The route has to match the throw. The throw has to match the window. The window does not stay open long in the NFL. That is why the rookie receiver points straight back to the quarterback battle. Branch can be dangerous with the ball in his hands, but the offense needs the right passer to feed him before defenders close. That is where Tua Tagovailoa and Michael Penix Jr. become more than a camp headline. Their battle decides how fast this new weapon gets unleashed. The Falcons' quarterback battle is not just about who takes the first snap. It is about what kind of offense Atlanta wants to become right now. Tua Tagovailoa gives the room experience, timing, and a style built on fast decisions. Michael Penix Jr. gives the team the long-term upside, the big arm, and the future they already invested in. That is why this is not a simple veteran versus young quarterback story. It is a fight between the safe rhythm of today and the bigger ceiling of tomorrow. Kevin Stefanski has to be careful here. If Penix is not fully ready after the knee injury, forcing him too soon would be a mistake. But if Tua wins the job, it cannot feel like the team is giving up on Penix. That balance matters. Matt Ryan knows what quarterback pressure feels like in Atlanta. Ian Cunningham knows the roster has to win while the window is open. The smart move is not about chasing the loudest answer. It is about letting the offense choose the quarterback through timing, command, and health. This is where Tua makes the debate uncomfortable. He does not need to win with height or power. He wins when the ball leaves early, when the receiver breaks open, not after. That matters with Zachariah Branch, Olamide Zaccheaus, and Kyle Pitts Sr. working the middle. It matters with Drake London winning outside and Bijan Robinson pulling defenders forward. Penix still has tools this staff can build around, but he has to prove the knee, the timing, and the comfort are all back together before the season demands answers. The hidden part is that both quarterbacks throw left-handed, and that changes the whole protection picture. The right side of the line is not just another side anymore, it is the blind side. If that spot leaks, every passing plan gets smaller. Branch cannot run free. London cannot wait on deep routes. Pitts cannot stress the seam. So the quarterback battle is really two battles at once: who sees the field better and who gets protected well enough to show it. The most important player in this offense might not be the one holding the ball. It might be the one keeping the blind side clean. With Tua Tagovailoa and Michael Penix Jr. both throwing left-handed, the right tackle spot becomes the place every pass rush wants to attack. That is why Caleb McGarry retiring was not a small note. It changed the pressure map of the whole offense. Suddenly, Jawan Taylor is not just replacing a starter. He is guarding the side the quarterback cannot see. That is a heavy job in a division where defensive fronts can ruin drives fast. Bill Callahan has been around too long to ignore that. He knows a line does not fail all at once. It starts with one weak spot, one missed set, one late hand, one quarterback hit that changes the next three throws. That is why the Falcons adding Layden Robinson matters, even if it looked quiet from the outside. Depth is not boring when the blind side is fragile. Depth is protection against panic. Ethan Onyanwa adds another layer to that same idea. He is a rookie lineman with size and flexibility, and those players matter in a long season. He does not need to start right away to have value. He needs to learn, push the room, and give Callahan another option if the first plan cracks. This is how serious teams build. They do not wait for trouble, then act surprised. They bring in bodies before the problem becomes the headline. And this is why the offense still has one major pressure point. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts Sr., Zachariah Branch, and the quarterback battle all sound exciting, but none of it matters if the pocket closes too fast from the right. Stefanski can scheme easy throws, Tua can release early, Penix can push the ball downfield. But the line has to hold long enough for the plan to breathe. The offense got faster, now the front has to keep it alive because the defense is already building its own answers. Avion Terrell is not just a family story. That angle is easy because A.J. Terrell Jr. is already one of the biggest defensive names in Atlanta. But the real football reason is much better. Avion gives the Falcons something every secondary needs: flexibility before the season even starts. He has the skill to compete outside, the movement to survive inside, and the toughness to handle a role that could change as the year unfolds. That matters because Billy Bowman Jr. is coming off a serious injury, and Atlanta cannot build the early season plan on hope. If Bowman is not ready right away, the nickel spot needs a serious answer. That is where Avion becomes more than a second-round rookie. He becomes the bridge. Mike Hughes can stay outside early, A.J. Terrell Jr. can hold his side, Jesse Bates III and Xavier Watts can protect the back end. Sidney Brown gives the room another safety piece with range and special teams value. But the player who lets the whole picture shift is Avion. The smart part is how this can change later. If Bowman returns fully and takes back the nickel role, Avion can move outside and start building the future across from his brother. If the coaches like him inside, he can stay there and make the defense faster in the slot. Either way, the Falcons are not locked into one answer. That is the value. It gives Jeff Ulbrich room to adjust without ripping up the whole plan. The pressure on Avion will be real because fans will connect him to AJ right away. That is not fair, but it is football. The name brings attention, the draft spot brings expectations, the injury situation brings urgency. Still, this is the kind of rookie addition that makes sense for a team trying to win now and build for later. And if the secondary settles quickly, the defense can focus on the one thing that hurt it most: stopping the run before the pass rush even gets a chance. Jeff Ulbrich does not need to prove the Falcons can create pressure. That part already has life. The problem is more basic and more annoying. Atlanta has to stop giving offenses easy early down wins. A pass rush becomes dangerous when the other team is behind the sticks. It becomes wasted energy when second down is short and the playbook stays wide open. That is the line this defense has to cross if it wants to become serious. The pieces are there. Jalen Walker gives the edge room real promise. James Pierce Jr. brings more speed. Brandon Dorlus and Zach Harrison give the front length and growth. Samson Ebukam adds veteran pressure. That group can hunt, but only if the run defense does its job first. That is where the second level becomes important. Caden Ellis already plays with force. Divine Diablo adds length. Kendall Daniels and Harold Perkins Jr. bring young athletic ability into the linebacker room. The defense is not lacking bodies. It needs those bodies to fit together faster. Then Antario Thompson enters the story. A 6th-round rookie defensive tackle will not grab the same attention as Zachariah Branch or Avion Terrell, but his role matters. Atlanta needed more trench help. It needed another interior player willing to do the dirty work that makes linebackers look cleaner. If Thompson can push for rotational snaps, even small ones, that helps the whole front stay fresher and tougher late in games. The scary version of this defense is simple. Stop the run on first down, force long passing downs, then let Walker, Pierce, Ebukam, and the rest of the rush attack. If that happens, Bates, Watts, Terrell, Avion, and the secondary get more chances to play the ball instead of chasing broken structure. That is how a defense jumps from interesting to dangerous. The offense will get the early headlines because of the quarterback battle in Branch, but the defense might decide how far Atlanta really climbs in the NFC South. Ian Cunningham did not draft like someone collecting random names. His first Falcons class had a shape. It added a corner with bloodline and flexibility. It added a receiver with instant speed. It added linebackers who can run. It added a defensive tackle for the interior. It added an offensive lineman for Bill Callahan to develop. That is not messy. That is a front office trying to match the roster to the coaching staff before training camp even starts. Start with the top of the class. Avion Terrell answers the secondary need and gives Atlanta a player who can fit more than one spot. Zachariah Branch gives Kevin Stefanski the slot spark and return threat the offense lacked. Those two picks tell you the theme right away: speed, stress, and flexibility. The Falcons wanted players who force choices. Avion forces coaches to rethink the secondary picture. Branch forces defenses to worry about every short throw turning into a chunk play. The middle and late rounds double down on movement. Kendall Daniels brings range to the linebacker room. Harold Perkins Jr. brings another fast defensive body with upside. Antario Thompson gives the front a trench piece. Ethan Onyanwa gives the offensive line a big developmental option. Not every player has to start in year one for the class to matter. Some have to push veterans. Some have to win special team snaps. Some have to become the kind of depth that keeps a season from falling apart when injuries start. That is why this draft fits the bigger offseason. Stefanski needs offensive answers that make life easier for whichever quarterback wins the job. Ulbrich needs defensive bodies who can run, hit, and fix early down issues. Callahan needs linemen he can mold. Matt Ryan and Cunningham needed a class that did not feel like old Atlanta simply hoping things improve. This class feels targeted. It feels like a roster being shaped for a real identity. And if the draft hits fast enough, the NFC South race changes sooner than people expect. The NFC South is not locked. That is the whole point. Tampa Bay still deserves respect with Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles because they have been the team others are chasing. New Orleans has young talent and a new direction. Carolina is still working around Bryce Young and trying to find steady answers. But Atlanta now looks like the team trying to make the biggest jump before everyone else finishes sorting out their own problems. The path is not complicated, but it is demanding. The quarterback battle has to settle. If Tua Tagovailoa wins it, he has to protect the ball and let the timing game work. If Michael Penix Jr. pushes back into the picture, he has to show the knee is no longer controlling the story. Bijan Robinson has to stay central. Drake London has to keep winning outside. Kyle Pitts Sr. has to punish space. Zachariah Branch has to bring the spark that made him such a clear fit. None of those pieces need to be perfect, but enough of them have to click together early. The defense has its own checklist. Jeff Ulbrich needs the run fits cleaner. Avion Terrell has to help the secondary survive the moving parts around Billy Bowman Jr. Jalon Walker, James Pierce Jr., Caden Ellis, Divine Diablo, Kendall Daniels, Harold Perkins Jr., and Antario Thompson all connect to the same goal: make the front harder to move. If the defense stops leaking early downs, the pass rush can become the closer instead of the rescue plan. So the Falcons do not need a miracle. They need the right answer at quarterback, a stable blindside, and a defense that fixes the one problem holding it back. That is why this offseason feels different. It is not one splash move, it is a chain. Stefanski changes the offense, Cunningham changes the roster, Ryan adds leadership to the building, Branch adds speed, Avion adds flexibility. The Falcons did not just change the conversation, they put pressure on the whole division to respond.